digging up dirt on Dog Daddy from years ago.
I'm not somebody who gets triggered easily, but guys like the Dog Daddy, they do it for me.
I had your back for a long time, but now look at you with this money and shit. You ain't no fucking phony,
just
dude.
take your...
You're a fucking phony.
You're a phony. Hey, get out of his face, nigga.
So everyone is up in arms and speaking out against the Dog Daddy.
Many of you are very concerned about Dog Daddy coming to Toronto on September 2nd and 3rd.
Today I'm going to be making a video that I have been wanting to make for a very long time, but it's been very difficult to do it. Every time I sat down to talk about this, it's been very difficult just because of how it has actually affected me as a person and my life on a day-to-day basis. But I'm going to be addressing all the biggest rumors and lies and how they have affected me. These lies are things that people have said about me over the years, and I didn't know how to handle them when it first started, and it got out of hand. And it has now gotten so out of control that my entire life has been affected by it. And I wanted to address it because every time I make a post and something new comes up and I see the same accusations and lies being spread to my comments, because people just have spread this for so long now that millions of people have the wrong idea of me and who I am and what I do. So I wanted to once and for all explain exactly what happened, because after being followed and harassed and my house broken into and being raided by the police, being physically attacked in public, just having millions of people hating you and threatening you and saying negative things to you every single day because of those lies. I was 19 when this all started happening, and I didn't understand really what was going on. I didn't understand the cutthroat and the cancel culture and this mentality of like they have to bring you down in order for them to go up, and I didn't know how to handle it, and I just kind of let it get out of hand until now that I really have a better understanding of like what they're doing and how they do it. And I wanted to let you guys know and give you some context, because at the very least there's a lot of people that watch me, and if you guys know the truth, that's all that matters to me, because there's a lot of people that don't know the truth and they hate me for the wrong reasons. The internet can be a very dark and scary place, and people don't realize that it's different than real life, but it still affects you in real life. And the ways that I would handle it, you know, just people using fake accounts and making up these stories that you don't really know who they are. A lot of times the police who don't want to get involved, or they don't know how to help you, because it could be someone from a whole nother country, and it's not as easy to just make it go away. So people get away with saying whatever they want, being whoever they want, faking it all on the internet, but putting my life in danger in the middle of it. So this all really started out when I first started getting attention when I moved to the US. And I was very new to everything. I didn't really use internet before. I never even had a phone before I came to the US. I grew up in Brazil. So when I started getting attention for the work that I did with dogs, and I was getting praised, and my clients were so happy, and people that would see me with my dogs, they would always talk highly of me. I started having some very negative people asking me some weird questions and like really just kind of like looking for something to be wrong. That's the first thing that I noticed, but I didn't understand what was going on. And then all of a sudden, as I started getting more attention and I was featured in some articles, I'll link them here so you guys can see, there was a lot of positive articles written about me. And when that happened, I was brand new to the country, first of all, and no one really knows anything about me before moving here, because I lived in the middle of nowhere in Brazil with no internet. So how they could come up with so many negative things, even from the beginning, it's very bizarre to me. But back then, I didn't understand all of it. I was like 18 when I moved here. And so all this started going on when I was 19. I moved out, I started working with dogs, I was helping the community with their dogs. And so a lot of the accusations were like, you know, like my dogs are locked in the closet, and I'm feeding my dogs live chickens for them to kill. All of these things always narrows down to one thing that I posted that people maliciously manipulated and created a false narrative around it to make it look like something horrible was happening. So when they say like my dogs are living in a closet and they, you know, they're like suffering in a closet, because even an article was written about that by the Cape Cod Times. And people don't realize also like how this affects my life and puts my life in danger in real life, because I've received so many death threats and different threats, and people saying they're gonna come to my house and they're going to hurt me because of these false stories that were posted. And all came down to a big full room in my house that I put closet doors, because there was like a big open door, so it was just easier to put a closet door. Because of the closet doors, a whole entire bedroom was made to look or sound like my dogs are locked in a closet. Now, if you hear someone keeps their dogs 24/7 like in a closet, it's gonna sound bad, right? But if you knew me and you came to my house, you knew it wasn't a closet. It was a room with 2 windows and just happened to have closet doors in front of it. And you know, I feed my dogs raw, so this is another thing that they also did with the feeding my dogs like live animals. They would call and say, you know, he's feeding his dogs live chickens and throwing them live animals for them to kill, because feeding raw is not illegal, and people are becoming more and more aware of how much healthier it is for your dog and how beneficial it is to feed your dog raw. Like that, I guess, just prompted them to come up with lies and say that I was feeding them live chickens, because that would, number one, be illegal and they could get me in trouble. Number two, it's inhumane, because you're letting your dogs like literally torture another animal when it's not necessary. It has no benefit for your dog to be doing that. And you're teaching your dog to learn to chase and hurt and kill other animals. That's very different than feeding them raw. Now, all of these accusations really don't have any basis at all, other than the manipulation of my own posts, literally my own stories, my own posts, my own pictures, my own videos, the things that I have said, but they were manipulated and made to be something completely different. It's not like that they have videos of me feeding my dogs live chicken, because it never happened. It's not like there's videos of my dogs locked up sick in a closet, because it doesn't happen. But it's all someone making up this story, and then millions of people just believe in it. And over the years, as I continue to post on social media and get more and more people watching me, more and more people became interested and invested in my life. So when they see these things posted, they're really shocked and they're really confused and unsure, like, what is this all about? And people love animals, so they, of course, feel a certain way when there's someone making these horrible accusations about me. So there was a lot of accusations, anything that you can think of, from my dogs not getting water, me letting my dogs kill each other, me throwing live animals for my dogs to kill. Like, the list goes on and on and on and on, to the point that my house got raided at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna link it all here so you guys can see it. Now, it's important to point out that there was never anything wrong, like nothing major. Maybe they get like a dog that was missing their rabies or something. It happens to everybody. Like if you literally miss the date and your dog doesn't get the rabies, it needs to be updated. Never anything that was criminal or putting my dog's life in danger, or something that I was doing that was horrible. Definitely, you should not be getting your house raided, right? Because you don't have rabies up to date with your dog. Now, the reason I say that is because if I say nothing was wrong, they're gonna say, oh, your dog wasn't vaccinated. Use common sense, and you know, if you forget to get your dogs that rabies vaccine, it's different than you know, literally throwing them live animals to kill. So they raided my house. They came at 6 o'clock in the morning with the whole city, all to investigate, right? And there was never anything wrong. But because of that, now they came up with new articles. Dog Daddy, I wasn't even known as the Dog Daddy, but just Augusto is getting investigated. He must be really bad. He must be doing something wrong because he's under investigation. Under investigation just means someone made an accusation about you and the authorities are looking into it. Now, if people from all over the world were watching my videos and calling and saying all these horrible things that I said, and the police will be prompted to come check it out, that's considered an investigation. So this is as far as it gets with me. I have no criminal records. I have never been charged with anything, and there's no evidence of anything being done wrong, because all these things are just made up stories that people that watch my videos, there were 99% of the time people that have never even made contact with me. They are phone calls, videos, and posts made by random people that just floats the internet, and people that see it, they make up their own versions of that story, and it creates this whole snowball of lies, manipulation, and they don't realize how it affects someone in real life. Because like I was saying, I have been threatened, I have been stalked, I have had my house broken into, I have people trying to hurt me and even hurt my dogs just as a way to affect me in a negative way, because you know, it just triggers that side of people. It triggers the wrong people to want to do things against me when they feel like they are doing a favor, you know, because the things that they have said about me are very horrible, very horrific, very crazy. And so it's been so many things that it is mind-blowing to see some of the things that they have said and the fact that some people believe it. One of the big accusations that people have made is they made it seem like some sinister things were going on a property that I lived in South Carolina, and they manipulated everything that actually happened, because I used to post videos of me feeding my dogs raw, and I would go to the butcher shop that was not far from my house. It's called G&W. They used to give me all the deer carcasses that were already processed for other people for me to feed my dogs, because I have always been very open and public about how I feed my dogs a freshly raw meat diet, and it's just healthier for them. Everybody knows that I feed my dogs that way. So I never had anything to hide, but what they did is they went to my property after I had moved out, and they took pictures of bones that they knew were there because they were featured in my YouTube videos, my dogs eating the whole carcasses. And those bones came from deer carcasses that were already processed, not butchered. They were not butchered by me or anything. My dogs ate, and I would make the videos and post online, so people knew that they were there, right? But what they made it seem like is I was somehow like killing those animals. You know, they took pictures of the deer carcasses, and they started saying that those must have been dogs and different animals, and they made it look like I was somehow like decapitating these animals and butchering them for fun in the middle of the night, and they made it look like something bizarre was going on, when in reality they knew that those were food that my dogs had eaten. Now, to give you guys a little bit of context, this is a very small town with less than 500 people, and all the neighbors are farmers. They have cattle. We're really in the middle of nowhere. So what happens in these places when you feed your dog raw, or even if you butcher your own food on your property, you discard of the remains, the bones that you're not going to eat, into the woods. You don't have like it's not like the city where you just like throw it somewhere. You literally go and dump it on somewhere further away from the house on the property. That's just how you work when you live out in the country in the middle of nowhere. And so that's really what I did, and it was nothing to be hidden or anything. Like, that's why they knew those bones would be there. But they, like I said, just people, they just try to come up with anything to make me look like I'm a horrible person. And so they completely manipulated everything that was there. They made it look like something that it's not, and turned into this whole thing of like, you know, I'm they just made it look like some type of crazy thing was happening, when it's just my dogs eating deer carcasses that were sold to me by the butcher shop. And then to top it off, there was a horse that was hit by a truck in front of my house. Now, you guys can call York County Police and get the records if you want. This horse was hit by a pickup truck in front of the house at night and had to be buried somewhere. Again, we live in a small town. There's not a lot of space, and there's not a lot of neighbors. And this just happens to be in front of my property. So what happens when something like that happens? They want to bury the horse as closely as to where it happened as possible. This is right off of a highway. My property was off of a highway. So they buried this horse, and this was like months before I actually moved out. And if you are from South Carolina, you know, during rainy season, it rains almost every day, and everything goes up from the ground. So what had happened is, months ago, this horse was hit by the truck. It died in front of the property. Again, there's public record if you want to verify this. And the horse was buried on my property. They asked me to bury the horse there, and I thought it was not a big deal. We lived on a 10-acre property. They buried it closer to the entrance of the property, and it was not a big deal. Months later, after I had already moved out, and just people were speculating to my property, and it was raining season because I moved out in December. So you know, if you're in South Carolina, it's when it's raining the most. Apparently, and I wasn't there, so I'm not sure, all that I know is that they took a picture of the horse legs sticking out of the ground and made it seem like I was somehow torturing the horse, killed the horse and buried it there, and all because there was like a cut on the horse's foot, which happened when the horse was being picked up by a tractor. So this horse was literally picked up by a tractor, carried away into the property to be buried. So it's not as bizarre as people would think, but without context and with just people maliciously switching things up and manipulating the story, it can look like a really horrible thing happened. But in reality, again, this is verifiable. You guys can call the city, you can call the G&W butcher and ask them if, like, what was this, maybe like 3-4 years ago, if all these things didn't happen. Now, it's just, the internet is a place that anyone can come and say anything that you want. This is just one of the many things that people have said, and we're gonna get into all of this, and I wanna clarify and explain each thing and how it actually went down and how these people manipulated it to make it look like it was something else and make me the bad guy. Okay, so out of one scenario that people manipulated years ago, I now get accused of things like withholding water in order to train a dog. All that comes out of one dog that I saved. I rescued this dog when the owners could not afford to pay for training. They drove this dog all the way, and I'm gonna post clips so you guys can see what dog I'm talking about and give you guys some reference. But this dog was driven to me from New Jersey to Massachusetts, where I lived at the time, because no one would take him on. All the trainers were scared of him. No one wanted to help this dog, and he was biting people, and the owners were desperate, and I offered to take on the dog and train the dog for free and rescue the dog and adopt the dog until he was fully trained to then be adopted out. So what happened was this dog came to me as I think he was about 7 years old, a German Shepherd, very aggressive. He, like, one of the most aggressive dogs that I have worked with. You guys are going to see some clips of it, and there's a couple of different things that people have used this dog to make false stories about me. The first one was everything is like I post things publicly so then people manipulate them and make them look and sound like something else happened. But what happened was this dog, because he would not let anyone near him at all, you could not even get this dog out of the crate to go out, to go potty or anything. He was extremely aggressive. So what I did is I started only giving the dog water every 3 hours. Now this is not withholding water, this is not dehydrating the dog, that's not depriving the dog from water in order for them to get dehydrated and then like drink water. This is a matter of 3 hours so that every 3 hours the dog would realize the water is coming from me. And what they did is, because I made that post, literally all it took was one person to make an article saying that I withhold water in order to train dogs. Keeping in mind that this is not just any dog. This is a very aggressive dog that no one wanted to work with. He was at risk of being euthanized. The owners drove him all the way to me, and I took on that dog to do the whole training for free because the owners could not afford to do the training. And as a matter of fact, the dog was fully trained. He was able to recover, and he actually went back to the owners because after he was doing much better, I gave the dog back to them even though they had surrendered him to me. And all that I did is, again, give the dog water every 3 hours, posted about it, posted updates with him, and people lie nowadays and they say that I withhold water. If you guys ever see someone saying that I withhold water in order to train the dogs, it comes down to just this dog. If you guys ask them how do they know that, why are they saying that, it comes down to someone making a video or an article saying, or both, and saying, I withhold water from dogs, because they're gonna take that one little caption of what I posted when I explained in detail, I don't withhold water. This is like not 3 days, 3 hours, just so that the dog knew water and food was coming directly from me. Another thing that they said about the same dog is that I poke dogs with a broom or a stick in order to train them. And this comes down to a video that I posted of me showing people how aggressive the dog really is and that he would bite. Because, if I don't post the dog actually being aggressive, then I get accused of like making it up to be more aggressive than it is and just acting like the dog is actually aggressive. This was a very aggressive dog. So I wanted to show my audience that what I'm doing and what I'm saying is valid. So I put a broom. gently inside of the dog's crate. I'm gonna post a clip right here so you guys can see. As I put the broom in the crate, the dog bites the broom, and that's it. I just simply show the dog will bite if you put something in the crate. If it had been my hand, he would have bitten my hand. Now, they take that clip, they make it blurry, which now you guys have seen the clip and you know what really happened. But now they say that I poke the dogs with a broom or a stick in order to train them. Now, when you don't know this context, you were not back there. You were not there with me back then. You're not watching my videos. You didn't know who I was when this happened. We're going back like 7, 8 years ago. But to this day, people will make accusations of me abusing the dogs, poking the dogs with a stick. It comes down to that one single video. And if you don't know the context, you are a dog lover yourself, what would you do? You'd believe that. You'd believe what they're saying because they make it so believable. There's a group of people that have been after me for years, and I'm going to go on here on many other things that they have done so you guys have an idea of where all this hate that I get comes from, and I'm going to let you guys know exactly where it started and why it never went away. So one of the other big lies that people have been spreading is that, and this is so bizarre to me, that I don't even understand how it's a thing, but it's because one person, one girl on TikTok made a video saying these things with no evidence. It turned into a roller coaster of thousands of people flooding my comment sections and DMs, where is the 25 dogs? So people are asking me where are these 25 dogs because someone lied that I had dumped them in a desert. This all comes down to me moving from one property to another property out of state. At this point, I did have more dogs, and my dogs went to live with friends. If you know anything about my dogs and the prices that they go for, that would make 0 sense of how I would get these dogs that are in very high demand and dump them in a desert. But someone made a story that I put just 25 dogs in a U-Haul truck, drove them from South Carolina towards California, and somewhere in the middle, I just dumped them there. And the only reason or the only thing that they have to back it up is one, the fact that I did move, which I did, and two, the fact that a neighbor saw a U-Haul truck go to my property. When you move and you have things to move, what do? You get a truck and you move that stuff, right? There's no videos or evidence of my dogs being put in a U-Haul truck, and much less evidence of my dogs being dumped out of a U-Haul truck, because that just doesn't make any sense. But because I moved and because a neighbor saw a U-Haul truck going there, someone else, a third party, made a video and said that I dumped exactly 25 dogs in the desert, that the whole city somewhere was looking for them. I want to see the evidence. I want to see who is looking for those dogs. I want to see where these dogs were dumped. Nothing. But thousands of people believed it, and thousands of people flooded my comments with death threats, and more accusations and more false stories were created because of this one video that was made, which really, I don't even know what to say about it. You know, there's nothing to say other than it didn't happen. There's no evidence because it didn't happen. But how can something like that turn into something so big and people believe it so hardly that they will be so invested and want to destroy me because of one girl that does not know me made a video saying that it happened. She just said it. There was nothing to show for it. She just said that it happened. Someone made a whole post about a dog of mine that died that I was very public about. It was a very horrific thing that happened. I have never had a dog get sick with this before, and I made a full video. My dog ended up passing away with distemper. I was visiting Mexico. I had moved to Mexico. I was there for 2 months. My dog that was vaccinated, was not a young puppy anymore, got sick, and the vets could not identify what was wrong with her. It's all documented. I have videos on this. By the time that they found out that she had distemper, she was too sick to be saved, and she ended up passing away. Now, when she passed away, this was 2 years ago, over 2.5 years ago, someone a couple months later made a post saying that I left her dead body in a bathroom in Mexico. All that they know is that the dog died, right? Again, same situation every single time. There's no evidence. The dog was not left in a bathroom in Mexico. The dog was not abandoned there. The dog was buried. And there's no evidence of the dog being left in the bathroom when I left. There's no pictures, there's no videos. It did not happen. But all it took was one person to say that, because it just makes me look like a bad guy. I don't care. The dog, was left there. And I made a video how I cared about the dog. It was my dog. And then all of a sudden, like, someone is saying he doesn't care. He left her dead body in the bathroom. They just said it. There is nothing to back it up. I keep saying this because all these accusations really have no grounds. It's just people literally manipulating things that I posted. I posted that the dog died. I posted a video of her in the bathroom. She had to be isolated from the other dogs. She was in a bathroom for her own safety. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? This was before she died. But now they make it look like I moved out of Mexico and abandoned her and left her there for days for someone else to find her body. It's a lie, but I don't understand how the people can really fabricate these stories, and it's unbelievable that people actually believe it, but that's just the reality. That's why there's so much negativity around me, because people believe it. Otherwise, these things would not get as much attention as they do. Now we go into like the lawsuits, right? Because I am not immune to that. If you don't know what a lawsuit is, it just means that you and someone else disagree on something, or someone can make a false accusation about you. But I'm going to explain that, first of all, anyone can be sued and anyone can sue you. And when you have a lot of business that you're doing and a lot of people watching you, you're more susceptible to being sued by anyone. And I like to say that I'm actually pretty proud of myself, because I have all these accusations, all these things, and I have billions of people that have watched my videos, and I have worked with thousands of people and have had thousands of customers. And in the last 10 years plus, 12 years in business, and I have 2-3 lawsuits that have been solved. And the main one that really stands out is actually the most ironic one, because the main lawsuit that people would say like, oh, he's got all these lawsuits. I don't have all these lawsuits. I have thousands of customers, 12 plus years in business, and I have 2-3 lawsuits. You make the math. Like, that wouldn't even add up. If someone is really doing wrong things all the time, that wouldn't really add up. But to have those 2 lawsuits and people make it up to be like, I must be really bad, I have all these lawsuits. I don't. And the one that comes to mind, which is the one that gets talked about the most, someone bought a dog from me that came from Europe. I like to point out that this dog had everything. He had blood work done, he had hips and elbows tested and certified. He's not from my breeding program. He came from a top kennel in Germany. He had everything. His passport up to date with all his shots. And the most ironic thing is that this dog actually had full coverage health insurance. So someone purchased this dog that was one of my friends, one of my clients' dog, was not even one of my dogs. I just helped them connect, and I helped the owner buy a dog because she did find the dog through me. And so everything was fine until this dog started getting sick, right, all of a sudden. Now, I offered to transfer the health insurance to them because my friend was willing to transfer the health insurance to the new owners. They refused that. They wanted me to pay them, I think, like $20,000 or something. And it was like this dog needed heart surgery and all these different things. It didn't really add up. It was like all these overnight stays at the vet. It was a big scam, to say the least. They wanted to scam me for money. She had told me that she had befriended the vet, and the vet was really helping her and everything. I don't know the whole situation, but it was just a very bizarre thing. It just really comes down to, if the dog has full coverage insurance and I have written proof that I offered them that, why would they not accept that? Why would they want me to pay out of pocket for something that the insurance would cover? Right? So it doesn't really add up. So why did I not fight back? Why did I not defend myself? I was new to moving to California at this point. I had a lot going on. I was actually in the middle of moving houses. I was no longer at that house where I was served, which I was never served. I don't know who they served, but it wasn't me. And I never found out about the lawsuit until it was already over with, and I had already lost the case. So when I had lost the case and people posted it publicly on the internet, I was not even in California at the time, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know that there was a lawsuit that was going on, because I knew about the lawyers contacting me and them asking me for money, but I was never served. So I never knew about a case that I had to go to court for. And so I actually lost the case, and for me to fight it, it would cost the same or more than what the judgment was for. So I had too much going on. I'm not perfect. I was in a vulnerable position. I don't want anyone to be like feeling sorry for me or anything. That's why I don't talk about these things. I'm just going to try to be as transparent as possible and honest with you guys. Like, I didn't want to put as much money and effort into something that was already over with. And even though I had all the evidence, I had all the health insurance in my hand, I had all the messages that I offered to transfer to them, I had all the health certificates for the dog that he was not sick when I sold him. But it would be very difficult. This was in the middle of the pandemic. Things were very difficult to handle. You know, it was just hard to deal with all that court stuff, and I had too many personal things happening for me to take care of it. And the fact that I had already lost the case, the lawyers that I was trying to hire, they were taking advantage of that, and they wanted to charge me a lot of money, which basically, yes, I would clean up my name, but I would still have to pay just the same, you know? So I kind of let it go because of that. But it's just that they talk about me being banned in other countries. There's literally comments that says I'm banned in so many different countries, and I'm banned from several different states, that I cannot train dogs there. I'm not banned from anywhere. I was going to say that right off the bat. I'm not banned from any country in any state. And if I am, please let me know. Please show me proof so that I avoid it, because I don't want to get in trouble, because I'm not banned from anywhere. It really all comes down to a trip that I took to Australia, and I did happen to have the wrong visa. So I was turned around, because it was when I was supposed to apply for everything online. I was doing things on my own. I applied for the wrong visa, which was what you can go there for work, but it's different than like actually getting paid, which my mistake, my fault. If you don't want to believe it, that's fine. But to say that I'm banned from several different countries because of my training practices, that is a whole nother level of lying and manipulating the story. I'm not banned from any country, not banned from any state, and yeah, it really comes down to that one video that I posted, and I said I was denied entry, because I was. Not because of my training at all. I'm not banned or restricted from training dogs in any part of the US or any other country. Now, there may be people that disagree with my methods. That's your personal opinion of me. That is not me being banned because of my methods. And it just sounds better if you're trying to be against me, if you're my competitor, to say I'm banned because I'm such a horrible dog trainer and the authorities of these countries blocked my entry rights because of my training. But in reality, anyone can do that research and find out that you guys are lying. So that's that. And it doesn't matter how many petitions someone makes. Anyone can make a petition. Anyone can sign a petition. Now, petitions are not a law. This is people literally trying so hard to make something happen. It hasn't happened. So you can have 1,000 petitions. I'm still not banned. And there's a lot more people that want me to go to these countries and states to help them with their dogs than the people that don't want me to go there. So it really comes down to you really trying very hard to make it look like something else. But I'm still not banned. There's been clips of my dogs fighting. This is again going back literally like 10 years ago, and completely manipulated. And I'm going to talk about it, because even though it was 10 years ago, people still bring it up and they make it look like something that is not. That when you have a lot of dogs, you're not immune to dog fights, and I haven't had a dog fight in years, but I did have a couple of dog fights when I had 20 dogs living together, and they will get those clips and make it look like I put my dogs to fight because we happen to be filming it. If there's someone around, I would gladly tell them, please film this, because I'm showing you people how to break up a dog fight. Now, fights were very rare and fall in between each other, but I have had a few fights in the last 12 years of working with dogs in the US and having a pack of dogs. But to make it like I make my dogs fight for a video in order to show how to break up a fight, that's not what happened. There's a clip in particular where one of my older dogs is correcting the son. This video has been circulating the internet for a long time, and it has context. When I first posted it, my entire audience understood exactly what was going on. There was no hate about it. But when people manipulate what is actually happening, then people see it as something completely different, and that's where it becomes a problem. My older dog had just started to go after the younger dog, which can happen when you're raising different dogs of different ages. And I explained on how I didn't intervene right away because it had just started happening. And sometimes intervening with a dog fight can make the fight a lot worse and make it a lot more aggressive. So I was letting it happen because the dog wasn't hurting the other one, but he was like dominating the other dog, and the puppy was scared and was screaming, so the sound makes it sound a lot more dramatic. But it was only started to happening, and I let it happen, and I explained why, and I then corrected the older dog, and I was trying to create harmony between them. You know, on a day-to-day basis. But again, if you take a 1 minute clip and you make it look like, oh, I just let my dogs bully each other and hurt each other and fight, you know, amongst them, that's a whole nother level of lying. And that's not what happened. And if you guys want to lie, post the original video without manipulation. Post my own video, you know, because those videos I posted, that's not one, this is no one like making a video of me. This is me posting the video. You guys just took the context out of it to make it something that it's not, and make it sound bad, and make it look bad, and make it look like something was happening.